Hey, people. You know, there's an old tale that it was a country girl that created the universe. And then she shot the snake. And then she went home and was when the victuals in. She cooked the victuals too. Yep, she did all that in one day. And she said, oh, the hour on as. You know, that's how folks used to say what time it was. They would say, oh, the hour on, and they would look up at the sky to see what time it was. That's where heaven come from, the hour on as. You know, I need to be getting over there and cooking up the victuals in. So I told you I was going to read in Genesis 1, but I want to skip over here and show y'all something. It says the completion of heaven, you know, and this is, as soon as tell is this on, and sun soon, and the sun it tell is this on. The sun it tell is this on of the hour on as. And so what it's saying here is in this last chapter, you just created a sundial. Was when it tell it has this on of the hour on as. Which the earth Kepasa. The Kepasa cosmos waton. The Kepasa cosmos waton. And you know, I read this to pass of. And some people, Italians, I guess a lot of people, you know, K is who, you know. K pasa, what happened, you know, what has passed. And so what this is saying is you just made a sundial, and now you're going to turn it into a pasa cosmosaton. A pasa cosmosaton. You know, all the ancient slide rules were round, and they were called atons. And that's what's talking about, is fixing the pasa cosmosaton. And it'll have another name in the Hebrew. And it's called Oiklusum himwares and clicks in 'em. You know, who clues in 'em wears and clicks in 'em. And so this was made by the priest, not sure, not a lot of information. There was a couple priests working on this, and the one of them that designed it didn't publish it. But they're wise, and they have everything. They have 8 different languages here, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the color. You know, you have 10 symbols pointing at each one. And so on the first page of the Bible, it's teaching you the days here. And I figured out the word for this in this Greek. Gonna blow your mind. But it says it was just 6 days, but the word for call the name shows up 7 times. All 7 days were created on the first. And that's what it says in this first paragraph on line 2. It says to mirror everything from Virgo up. Mirror from Virgo. So Virgo is here. And so it was on Virgo went here, and it was on Libra went here. And so this is, you see these Saturns here, you know, you see it's mirrored, and Jupiter is mirrored. And I was wondering why they did this, and that's why it comes right out the Greek Bible. And so these you can all tell you tell these are mirrored. It's hard to tell on Mars, but it's supposed to point up to the left, here's to the right, you know. And then these two are mirrored, but you can't tell they're mirrored because they're symmetrical. And so on these first 7 days, you know, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good. You have 7 goods up here. And so this is the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, the 3 of good and evil. So these are your 7 goods, and these are your 5 evils. But you have 2 unseen evils here. You can't tell, you know. So the knowledge of the 3 of good and evil is, you know, there's 3 evils that are seen, and there's 2 unseen evils, and there's 7 goods. And the word in the Greek for these is opposite of he has done, you know. And as rose who sieve it, you know, as rose, these are the creators, the planets. And in the Greek, you know, it's he did. And, you know, I'd say, you know, this is the same word they say is creation, and it comes from po, the mouth, and yes. And so this is effigies, and the effigies, you know, a sculpture or model of a person. And they'll say it comes from the Latin ex and finger, meaning out shape, which this is something they're trying to force. It comes from the ancient English. And that's why it has the word Jesus in it. That's a man on the cross. And so in the first day, that's what he was creating, was effigies. He created the 7 effigies. And then here what they're calling the 7th day, the 7th is the bottom, and it's at the bottom, at the end. And so this word's usually, the come, the ra, the day. But following this H here, it makes it thy, and it's a catapause. And he rested, the cat laying down, the catapause. It means Leo. And the catapause, they mirror, and the, T-H-E, the bottom. And they mirror the bottom of upon to. There's 2 tons here. The other Bible only has the one word, the upon to. And so this N here is reading as a V before this E. And this is Virgo, the god of works. And so, and to mirror the bottom of upon to Virgo, the virgin, V-E-R-G-O-N. And the virgin ought to of, this is a V or a B, of effigies. And it's talking about in who lodges in, who lives in that house. And that's why they created the word eulogies in. And so the eulogies is praying to the God of the hour, who lodges in of those. You're looking at a sundial here, and it's all you need is these 14 hours. Your 7 planets give you the first 14 hours. The sun comes up, and the shadow's shining off the center here, and it's here in the morning, And as the sun moves on, the shadow moves to noon, and then where the sun goes down over here. And if you had a transparent earth and this post went on through, the sun would actually shine from the other side, and it would go on around until it come up here in the morning and shine the shadow here again. And so, on the first page it told you how to make the sundial, and now it's telling you to mirror all this, to create the Jew, the G-E-W, the Jupas a cosmosaton. The Jupa's a cosmosaton. So a lot of people probably evolve this into the sun, and the tell is this on. The sun is the tell this on of the hour on as. But this N actually reads as a BV here, and was of tell is this on. Same thing, we know as the sun is what's telling us, but it reads as a BV, sub, under. Was under, the tell is this on of the hour on as. And maybe the edge, HGH, the edge to pass of cosmosaton. When you're completed, you got your lesson. The lesson was of it the lesson. And was of it the lesson of those in thy mirror. The double H makes this a Y, I believe. Thy mirror. The catch. T-H-E-K-T-H. The catch to, the A-E reading is the E-S. And the catch it is gay. G-A-A is the G-A-Y. The gave what of. The catches are gave it of. Effigies. A catapause. And so a kate, is to carry out the orders and of the pause, and rested. And, the cat, the pause on, his pause is over there on Virgo. And the cat, the pause on, they mirror the bottom half, H-A-F, the bottom half upon, and to Virgo, or the bottom half upon taunt, T-O-N, the taunt to Virgo. But like I say in this other Bible, this whole paragraph's different. You see everything in the parentheses They weren't in the original Septuagint. It was all added later in this what I'm looking at. And so actually in this Bible, it actually leaves out the ton, and it's just in the bottom half upon Virgo, the Virgin, the Vergonautics, Ergonautics. The Ergonautics was a band of heroes sailing with Jason, the sailors. And mirror the bottom half upon Vergonauta, the Virginato of effigies. And who lodges in of those, then come a rantin', get the hell out of my house. And then come a rantin', the bottom on which Gaia, Gaia is the earth in all the ancient language, which Gaia is in, which the earth is in. Oughten, oughty in. Oughten, you shouldn't have. Ought he. Oughten, oughty in. He shouldn't have done it. And oughten, oughty in auth, in auth, usually where that reads, and created and wrote in auth, catapausin. And of upon it on to the Virgin Auto and on. It reads on this time. See, it's the same word, but here it's not followed by the E, it's followed by the H. And that's the main reason they use an E and an H for an E. And the Virgin Auto on here sat to of those pogin, like to impose your pogin. And so the biggest thing to take out of this, I tell you there's many ways to spell of, and I missed this one with the omega and the N, that the N only turns into a V if it has an E following. And so it switches up. And you have an AV is a of or a OV, and you have an AB, which is also a of. But this new of I find here, they put from on it, and that's where that gets at. AP is also, oppose, but it's an AF of. And so this is the of that means on the other side, oppo, away from, and of, upon. So when it's, of upon, you think it's laying up on it, but you have to look closely. The AP of means on the other side. And the base word, for this all is just the PAN, anything close to it. And it goes across from the kol that's in the Hebrew, and neither one of these words mean all. Both of them mean a selection of just a certain type, all of that type, not from all. All from the type that's a po on the other side, or all from the type that's of the virgins. You have to read the Bible to understand it. You can't hear the difference in the ofs. You have to see how they're spelled to see what they mean. Then come a rant in the bottom on which gazin oughten audi in naudicate pausin. In naudicate pause, to authenticate, auth and Kate in the ends right here. And staring at the bottom on which gaze in audi, ought naughty in authenticate. Get your filthy paws off my silky drawers, in the bottom which gaze in ought naughty in authenticate pausin. Of upon to notten virgin, ought to on here sat to of those pogin. The new one's Poginonian. Poacher taking was not yours. Impogin. So I'm not going to leave here without hitting this Bible. After all the creation, then the Bible was written. It's not this is the book, but auth. The auth had written it. Of thy, Thy, of thy. And so the word Bible, it means by blows. By blows means in order of time, by blows. And I'm give you the story blow by blow. But it also means vival as, to live as. And so you kind of read all the meanings in the words and put them all together, and it gives you the whole meaning of the word, and the vival, in order to survive, to vival as, to live as, by blows, in order of time. And so the rest of the Bible is just making up stories of kings and place them in places, and all the names have a meaning. And so you have qualities of somebody that was born under the sign of Leo. And I always thought astrology was a bunch of crap, but it's easy to tell they spent thousands of years keeping everything in charts, in round charts, what was happening, how the grass was growing, how the people were acting. And you put it all in charts and all this information, and then you overlay all your round charts. See what patterns stay consistent. And that's how all this astrology was figured out. And it's probably the realest religion in the world. But yeah, these are the effigies. That's why you see Mercury, he looks like old man with horns. And Venus is just a little girl, ready and happy. And Mars is a little boy running around with a heart on. And imitations of people. And Saturn goes at the end, it's the set, it's sunset. At sunset is the beginning of the new day. Everybody that knew how to read this went and looked up at the stars to see what was going to happen tomorrow. And so this double H here reading is a HY, and it's of thy vival as, of thy life as, gives those the hour on of, and gist they give to, and the GESOT, the gist, and the location, and EY, they give to. The Heimers, the AE becomes the ES, and Heimers, that's your German homies, my Heimers, and gives to home. Their home is a day. Each planet has a day for their home. And the Heimers, posy. Posy is the rhyme inside of a ring, written in this ancient language so it can mean a lot in just a couple letters. The posy. And the hour on of, and gist, high gives to, a home is posy. Of those it on, of ran on. What engine? What engine? The engine is the earth spinning to cause everything to go around. All ancient knowledge. Don't matter how much you pray to the effigies, you can't make the earth flat. All the ancients knew it. Upon the color on aggro, not green, it's just the color of the aggro. Proto, the first. The green is the first. And so this is talking about the Egyptian calendar, when the Egyptian calendar started over here at the flood. And we can't go by the Egyptian names because those Egyptologists have no idea how to read any of that. They read it about as good as Jews read Hebrew. A lot of the Jewish names came from the Greek Bible because they weren't in the Hebrew. But they started their calendar, at the flood, which is the month of Thot, and it means that the sun rises in the star of Thoth, which is August 29th. That would be my birthday, so I was born on the first day of the year. And so you name this time, upon the color on aggro. Hey, let's call this time of the year green because everything was green, and when his works which began, is the virgin ought of on her sat to. Where the virgin was sit is where God began to do. And so this is the beginning of set all in motion. And that's why you see this Genesis spells many different ways. And most of the time it's gives, to give it a push, to get it moving. And when there's an N here instead of an E, then it's a gen, and then it's the shot. But this is the motion. And upon the color on the aggro, a proto, gives they, Geves, to gives, Thy, and a proto, the beginning gives they, of epithages. Of epithages. This is that word of the sedges. And so the sedges are the writing instruments. The paper is sedge. And so epithages is all the qualities. All the perfect qualities of that specimen in the epithages. Upon, to shorten. Agrow, a Grow, the agro. And to shorten agrow, proto first, to onatilia, the natal, the natal, the nativity, your birth chart, natalia, it's rising. Of a gar is a spear, as in the spear of the day. Of a gar, ever it's in, whatever spear it's in. Curious of those, the fit engine. The curious of those, the fit engine. An engine is the turning tool, where it fits in the engine, the fit engine. And this is where your word, theosophy come from, and to carry as of theosophy, the Lord God upon it engine, the Lord God upon it turn, and carry as theosophy, it engine, it turned. And on their oppose so kin. On their oppose, on the opposite side, their oppose of. This is never no. This is okay. This is of give. This opposite of no, of can. And on their oppose of can, here gazes they, here not working. And some people think it's work to sit out and look, but these are just watching. Here gazes they. This is where they could be seen. Here gazes they, authenticate. This is where they're at. They sign their name to it, So this is the seventh day. The seventh day is Chronos, of time, and that's why it starts with when the sun at tell is this on of the hour on as. It starts with the sundial, the time. To edge, he's out there on the edge, at the bottom edge. To edge a pass of the cosmoseton. So the cosmoseton, the cosmos means more of a connection between the earth and the stars, and that's exactly what it says. To pass of the cause from as. The cause from as comes from the cosmos. The cause from asaton. And you'll see this word down lower, and they'll give it to where the base word entitlement comes from. And it's also, where the word victuals come from. Victuals are the things that were filled in between on the first day, and in between the victuals. But in the Greek, the in between is the names on the victuals. All those little victuals. You got a bunch of little victuals in here. All have a meaning. All the victuals. You got 10 different victuals going with the stars here. 10 different symbols, colors, shapes, and 10 different symbols for the planets. And you'll see that, these all stay the same from side to side. These are the planets moving. The planets and the houses are out here. And was when a tale is in of the O's, the planets, in thy mirror. And so in thy, Thy, that was also the name for the first day. Thy was all for Thoth. In thy mirror, the catchit. The catchit is her, the gay what of. The catches her, the gay what of, is a posy, a compact writing, all those little victuals in the posy. Everything's representing. It's the same. It would be the effigies if it wasn't for this A here turning this into a E, or turning this into a S. And so that's also where your word suppose comes from. This turned to a ES, and of to we suppose he did it. But, that's also the word of creation, with the mouth. And we suppose, we pose, we say so. We say he did it. The posy, and cat the pause thy mirror the bottom half upon to Virgo, the Vergonautics, the virgin octave on effigies. And this he rested, the catapause. It's where you word a catagen. It's where the life cycles come from. The on again, the beginning, seed growing, and the cat again, and the rivers growed up to the cat's paws again, and up to the cat, and that's the life cycle when you're full grown, you're not growing anymore, is what that means, catagen. And then the telogen, to distance of, distance of again, and grows back away, the dying cycle. So the catagen is the cycle before death. And who lodges in, and who lives in of those, then come the day, then come a rontin, the bottom on which Gaia's in thin. That means, Gaia is the spirit. Everybody think Gaia was the earth, but it's actually, which the earth is in. And who lodges in, and who lives in of those then, come the day then, the bottom on which Gaia is in, the bottom on which Gaia is in, to authenticity. And so the authenticity is saying is on the bottom of Gaia. And who lodges in of those, then come the day, then the bottom on which Gaia is in, the bottom which Gaia is in, authenticity. And so the bottom which Gaia is in, some of the alchemists knew it was going on. It's the black, that's Xronus, time over here. And we saw it on the nativity of Jesus. Saturn was the only planet on the bottom side, up at midnight. And so it seems the clock was zeroed out, a eclipse, a sun and a moon, and Saturn on the opposite side. And who lodges in of those then, come her on then the bottom on which Gaia is in, authenticity in, authenticate pause on. So it's telling that's when the still shot's taken, that's when the nativity's taken, authenticity and authenticate pause in. Of upon to Virgo, the Vergonato, the virgin of, on her sat to of those poging. And so they were poging in on the area of Virgo. And who lodges in of those, the planets, then come a rant on the bottom of which gazing of then ought he in authenticate, ought he in authenticate the pause on of upon a taunt, the taunt, taint, the mix. And like I say, the other Bible, it doesn't even have this in here. It just reads of upon the virgin, ought of on here sat to. And where the virgin sat, anybody born on the day of Thoth, it means it was really cold at Christmas, or the lights went out and everybody was fucking. You count 9 months up after the Christmas blackout, and that would be the birth of Thoth. And the Virgin on Otov on here sat to of those, the godlies, of those godlies pogin, of thy vival as, of thy life as, gives those hour on of, agis at they give it to, a location as they give it to, the Heimer, yes, the Heimers, the homes posy of those it ran on with engine. And so lucky I got your package come in on the 12th, and it's the most beautiful Christmas ornament I own, and also the only, and if I ever should put up a Christmas tree, it'll be lonely. It's going to be the only one on there. And I'm sure it's some type of gourd. I can hear the beans rolling around in there. So if the color ever peels off, I can plant it and make another family of them. Thank you very much. And if anybody else wants to donate to the channel, there's a PayPal button right here. You can press it and bring it to my PayPal. And it's under the name is The First Hill. And that means the place where I'm fixing to have to move back to. I used to live on First Hill. And I think I'm going to read some more into this 2 before I go back to 1, because it's so much easier to read and understand. And this will help to understand the first. But in line 2:7, God shapes man, and then that's done in one line. And then he plants a garden. And then he divides this garden up with rivers that run all around it. He was making divisions. And in one of these engines was to carry out the Caton, the anti-Assyrian. They were against the Assyrians. And so people didn't understand the story was talking about stars, They were thinking God created 4 races and wanted us separate. But anti-Assyrian just means not white. And you have to watch it, because if this was an E, then it is white, anti, and represents the Assyrian. And he finished all the divisions. Then he placed Adam in and gave him charge in tile it too. And I think y'all be a lot more interested in this tree over here in the parodies. But I found this up in here, and it really explains this word crucian, which does not mean gold. But I'll put that in the next video. I'll start working on this. I'm going to cut this off here. A good day.
I am the Antichrist, and I approve of this message.